Hey people, it's your boy, and we're back with the last of the Might and Magic reviews from Sseth. This is 9, which I'm pretty sure is also the last game in the series before it was bought by Ubisoft, and you know what that usually means for gaming series and companies and anything else. Oof, it means a big oof. So let's see it. By the way, if y'all have seen the thumb mark for this video by Sseth, Jesus Christ, Sseth. Jesus Christ.
People, Sseth here. We finally got to this point.
Know.
Amongst all the good games I've covered, sooner or later we had to do it. This is it. This is when I start drinking. Might and Magic 9, The Writ of Fate. The last chapter in the original Might and Magic franchise. And the final nail in the coffin for both the developer and the publisher. Although it didn't directly result in their financial ruin, 3DO can take credit for that. Might and Magic 9 was like the final victim of a plague that was their poor management decisions. Its mangled corpse a pathological tapestry waiting to be dissected and picked apart to see just where the fuck it went wrong. And it went wrong from
I actually kind of like the way the menus look. I gotta be honest with you, I kind of like the way they look.
The start. From picking Lift Tech as their engine, to deciding that 3D graphics have something to do with triangles. Might and Magic 9 tried to revive the series by moving away from sprited graphics. What we got instead was this abomination.
Kind of looks a little bit if Oblivion was made in 25 years before it was actually made. That kind of... Choose from over 65 quests to complete along the way. Blood and violence. You've never seen Might and Magic like this, and you never will again!
It's also very nice to hear optical drive. Don't mind the strange sound as it tries to lift off.
I like this menu though. Look at this menu. This looks good though. This looks good. I like this. This pleases my eyes.
Don't mind the strange sound as it tries to lift off.
Brother. Yo, it's an... Wait, what kind of language? Is that Russian? Программа установи... Подготовят программа. Yeah, it's Russian. Oh shit, it hasn't installed.
Oh well. At least the installer worked on my laptop. After you come to grips with a horrific art style, you can form your party. You can choose between birth defects and the offspring of first cousins. You can choose their personality, which varies from arrogant, annoying, or just...
Okay, Might, Magic, Endurance, Accuracy, Speed, Luck. Choose 2 of the following skills. Dark, Identify, Magic, Bow, Cudgel, Light, Learning, Meditation, Item Repair, Perception, Identify Monster. No bodybuilding?
Stupid. Appropriately, I made a party of women. A short tutorial later, you're sent off on your quest to die in exile on the Isle of Asperger's, hopefully before your kind has a chance to reproduce. You might now realize that something's a...
So it's a little bit like... Fuck, what's that game? Like Diablo. 1 second. I'll tell you. 1 second. Path of Exile. Plot reminds me very much of Path of Exile.
It's a bit off. Remember those maps I showed you of Might and Magic 6,
yes.
7, and 8? They're not here anymore. We're not even on the same planet.
Oh.
Instead, we're on the planet of Sturmford, Drangheim, Gubeland, Fjorgard, Fronheim, and Frostgard. Now that I think of it, this isn't even a fantasy map. This is just a map of Denmark. Following the events of Might and Magic 8, we stopped Eschaton.
Hey, that's, for me living in Bulgaria, that's a fantasy map, my guy. Like, fucking shit.
But it didn't really matter because somebody made a sword that nukes the planet if you ever use it. So, Enroth kind of blew up anyway. 9 avoids touching the plot of anything that happened before, which is a breath of fresh air from 3D printed guns. The plot of
Goat Mrs. Annie Frank, Goat Mrs. Suck.
Anything that happened before, which is a
Goat Mrs. Cummy Consumer. Interesting names for your characters, Seth.
breath of fresh air from 3D printed guns, the plot of anything that happened before, which is a breath of fresh air
Angela Merkel is your last.
from 3D printed guns, devil aliens, and cyborgs. Instead, they take the mythology of a Nordic pantheon and their gods, and structure a fantasy version of Scandinavia around them. Anyway, you crash land on Asperger Isle and find Forad Dari, a spy for the barbarian armies. He says you should probably get a fortune telling from the local island hag or something. She tells you to unite the clans of Chedian to repel the barbarian armies of Temur Lang. So you do that, but just before leaving the Isles you ask Forad if he'd like to come along, and ask him about the barbarians. He says they're nice people, so you unite the clans and prepare to fight the barbarians. But you need to go cotton picking for an old lady, so you ask Forad Dari, a spy for the barbarian armies, to lead the 6 clans against the barbarian army while you're away. Unfortunately, it turns out that Forad Dari was a spy for the barbarian army.
Do you find out after this happens that he's a spy? Does he tell you he's a spy immediately? He's like, I'm a spy for the barbarian army. And you're like, okay, let's send him as the general. Sounds like a very good... What? I am confused.
He's all along, and has betrayed your troops. I'm not making any of this up, by the way. Then you go to Temur Lang and say, yo, what the fuck? Our writ of fate said we were destined to stop you. What gives? And he says, his writ of fate said he was destined to win. So you go on wacky Scooby-Doo mystery-solving adventures together to figure out why fortune-telling isn't considered an empirical science and find out who's responsible. As it happens, anyone can write a writ of fate, but it takes a special kind of retard to follow the directions of a fortune cookie. One god, Najam the Trickster, has been a retard to follow the directions of a fortune
Life is not a mystery to be solved, but a reality to be experienced.
cookie. One god, Najam the Trickster, has been doing just that, and the gods are very unhappy, so they ask you to pull a lever to win the game. The game ends by pulling a lever, which puts Najam in jail and puts the company that made this game into bankruptcy. Again, I'm not making any of this up. Development of the game was
that
slashed
the
to
god?
halfway point. The developers were asked to wrap it up and finish it immediately, so they literally just put a lever to end the game, because they had no fucking time left. Because 3DO still wanted it on the shelves to try and recoup some of their massive financial losses, because they were bleeding money left and right. What we're left with in the end is an almost pre-alpha copy, or a tech demo, of what Might and Magic 9
Any community mods? So it's kind of like a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I mean, if the community loves it enough, maybe they fixed it.
could have been. There's all the traces and evidence of a potentially great RPG.
Angela Marco hits Monk for 11+1 miss.
The class system was revamped into different tier lists and promotions that were all distinct in their advantages and drawbacks. The spell system was streamlined and fused many of the discrete spellbooks from the previous games into a single spellbook that would require different combinations of spell alignments between spirit, elemental, light, and dark to successfully use different kinds of magic, with less spells overall, but each of them being significantly different from the rest, and offering game-changing strategies should you reach them. And combat was changed from killing hundreds and thousands of sprited monsters to a tactical experience where you might fight 3 or 4 homeless people for their soup. But these homeless people will put up one hell of a fight. They have nothing to lose, since they have nothing to give, except their lives. You will spend the first few hours of the game killing different tier upgrades of homeless people, ranging from escaped slaves to master slaves. Slaves that have reached mastery
Master slaves.
in the art of serfdom and poverty magic. The quests in this game are fairly interesting as well.
You get attacked by a gang of mummies.
Actually, I retract that opinion. Quests are garbage. Fuck this game. Easily the best feature of the game is the music. The compositional score is absolutely amazing, and probably one of my favorites from the series. That about covers it for the good. The bad is everything else. Hi there.
Do they have the card game from the other games, at least? Do they have that in?
Oh, would you like to buy some armor?
Finding people in towns is an experience. since most houses are locked and you can't be sure if the person walking around is either a generic elf peasant with 2 lines of dialogue or the only trainer for disarming traps within a 500-kilometer radius. The only way to find out is to question all the generic character models you see, which will quickly drive you insane. Even when you discover where someone is located, there's no ability to take notes or put annotations on the map, so you'll repeat the process.
What is that thing? What is that thing?
There's no ability to take notes or put annotations on the map, so you'll repeat
The fuck is that shit?
the process all over
Shut
again.
it.
The other big gripe is the sound. The music is great, but something is off about the sound. Maybe it's the fact that there are several sound effects in the game that are 100 times louder than anything else, and will either rape your ears when you hear them, or burst your eardrums. Unfortunately, one of these sounds is the sound of the coast, which is a shame since each of the areas are different isles reached by water and surrounded by water. So if you dare get in front of the docks, you will be assaulted by the sound of waves crashing against your skull. Unfortunately, the other one of these sounds is the sound of birds chirping, which is a shame
That's a
since
bird? I thought it was a frog.
each of the areas are different isles covered
Kill
by
it.
trees, so if you dare get out of range of the docks, you will be assaulted by the sound of magpies screaming and drilling into your brain. But there's another problem. I can't lower these sounds. Lowering the volume in the menu slider does nothing. They aren't controlled by the audio menu. They're above it and not subject to its laws. As a final piece of criticism, this game contains the worst designed puzzle I've ever seen in a game, bordering on sadistic. So during the main
Whoa, what
contains
are
the
those
worst
things?
designed puzzle I've ever.
Only for genius is 3, 2 equals 7, 5, 4, 23, 7, 6, 47, 9, 8, 79.
Ever seen in a
Not
game,
that's right.
bordering
How many balls? 95% of people get this wrong. Okay, this should be easier. Is it a... Does it have... It depends if it's like a... If it's like this, or if it's like this. Okay, if it's like this, I don't know.
on
How do you figure this shit out?
piece
If
of
it's
criticism,
like
this
two
game
more
contains
walls
the worst
behind it or
designed
one wall?
puzzle I've ever seen in a game.
Should be 2, I think. So technically, but there is balls in the middle. Okay, so that's 16 for the bottom, but there should be like 2 more, 5 more in the middle. 21, 3, 6. Okay, I'm
Bordering
not
on
doing this shit.
sadistic.
Fuck
So
this.
during the
I
main
hate
quest,
puzzles.
you need
Fuck puzzles. What is this shit? I want to see the last one. I want to see the last one. I want to see the last one. Solve if you're a genius. 18, 14, 2. What is this shit?
sadistic. So during the main quest, you need to get to the final area of the game world. But to get there, you need to line up several mirrors and then activate a crystal, which will shoot lightning to reflect off each mirror.
Oh, yeah, it's like the fucking quest in Assassin's Creed Vikings. I hated that quest in the fucking God Realms. Ugh.
To the door
Ah.
and open up the passage. Sounds simple
Crystal.
enough, doesn't it? Now imagine this. Each mirror can only be rotated by a single degree at a time, giving each mirror 360 possible positions.
Oh,
Each mirror can only be
bro.
rotated clockwise. If you think you've got the mirrors correctly aligned, you can activate the crystal, which will zap lightning towards the first mirror, and nothing happens. Because each and every one of the mirrors needs to be aligned to the exact degree to reflect the lightning to the next mirror, or it won't work. The only way of checking this is to move a mirror a single degree, walk over to the crystal, activate it, and repeat. Repeat endlessly until you found the exact perfect alignment for each mirror to solve this mind-numbing puzzle. Oh, and Lord forbid you actually click twice in a row accidentally and overstep the perfect alignment by a degree. Well, then you'll need to click it another 359 times to get it back in the perfect position. This is torture. This is something Marquis de Sade would say is a little extreme and messed up. I give this game a very small number out of a larger number. Despite
What is this? Lawbreakers. Playing time 41 minutes ago. 24-hour peak. All time peak. Battleborn.
Despite everything though, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of good buried under a rushed schedule, and we're left instead with a lot of shit. I don't recommend playing it unless you're a big fan of a series or a nihilist, or you have a contractual obligation to the Merchants Guild, which has been generously funding these videos and threatens me that if I ever stop, they'll take off another one of my sister's fingers. I don't even have a sister, but I'm terrified. Nonetheless, more content to come, so stay tuned. I need that protection money.
Fair enough. Well, with that video, that is all the Might and Magic series that we have seen, and I actually want to play some of the other ones. This one I'll skip. I'm good. Plot sounds very fun. I know it now. It's okay. I'm good, Seth. Anyway, quick thank you to the patrons: Pedro Martinez, Comasco Unit, Rob Barry, Prince Swast, Terry Fuchs, Tree Senior Hitler, Lemon and Moon, Ike Dash, Ronick, Nada, James Bizzoni. Thank you all for the support, and I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a nice fucking day. Yeah, I'll be streaming some Tarkov later on today, so yeah. Oh, you can't.